Welcome one and all to White Pill Music. So this episode is going to be about what every episode is going to be about, or more or less, and that's going to be an album that I love that is very much a white pill. So, let's see what we can do here. Now, one of the biggest white pill albums of my life is the original, not the remastered, but indeed the original version of Megadeth, Rust in Peace. This album is a white pill for various reasons. First, what's a white pill? What's a black pill? Black pill is sort of like kind of maybe a darker take on life. It doesn't necessarily have to be dishonest in the sense of like overtly pessimistic or overly pessimistic, but I suppose it is, looking, maybe at least sort of talking about how bad things might be. But white pill might be sort of talking about how good things might be. Whatever. Anyway, more of an optimism note rather than just a neutral or a pessimism. Now, wait a second. Do we not have the music going? Is that music not going? Is the Doki Doki music not going? Isn't it supposed to be? Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Yep, so the music is going. Anyway, this is a great album. It's quite the effing album, actually. And most thrash metal listeners might tell you that. In fact, whether or not someone considers themselves too cool for school and beyond Megadeth as like one of their favorite bands, or someone doesn't consider themselves very knowledgeable at metal at all, I think if they listen to the original version of this album, and not the remastered one, but I do say the original, then they might really like it. The thing is, this is an album full of bangers. It starts with the greatest 1-2 punch in metal history, probably. Holy War's The Punishment Due, leading straight into the great song Hangar 18, where it feels like it basically, there's kind of a journeying feel to certain music. There's a journeying feel. You get that with like Victorious March by Amon Amarth, where it sounds kind of like they're marching. You get that with Back in the Day, actually, by Megadeth on the album The System Has Failed, which I think is sort of overlooked. And there are parts of that where it also feels like sort of this orangey kind of like journeying march through the skies. And I once heard a story, I don't know if it's true or not, but it certainly is a story, No Country for Old Men style. But I once heard a story about a man who apparently took off on F-14 or F-18 jet fighter engines. And he would take off listening to Hangar 18 by Megadeth. That's the song on this album, and that song is also a white pill, not only because of how cool it is and how good it is, and how if you hear it, you'll basically probably immediately like it. I'd say check out that song first if you're sort of unsure and you're looking for some point of like, will I like this stuff or not? Hangar 18, it also has some great anti-establishment Megadeth lyrics, which Megadeth is all about. They've always been anti-establishment stuff, from Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good, right up into the present, with what's going to be their last album apparently coming out, and their last tour. So Dave Mustaine says, and I think Dave is not just your average kind of guy, albeit your average kind of metal singer, but nevertheless your average kind of guy who's like, oh yeah, this is my retirement, and then it's like, oh no, I'm not retired. Like a Jay-Z or whoever does that. I don't know who retires and comes back, but what we have with them is their lyrics like military intelligence. Those are two words that can't make sense or something like that. The beginning of the song is awesome. It's like, welcome to my something something. I'm gonna show you these cool weapons. I don't know. It's really fun. Like there's a fun. Megadeth has a real fun, but then Megadeth has a real technique. And this album actually has both of them. I'd say go over to the first of the part of the 1-2 punch, Holy Wars, for the technique part of it. I mean, there's technique like crazy, I think, in Hangar 18 probably, but this may be the best Megadeth lineup. It's just, check out the guy drumming, check out Dave Ellefson. Is he the rhythm guitar guy? Check out, of course, Dave, the lead singer and basically the pioneer of this band, the spearhead. Just fucking check out everything. It's great. And then the album keeps going, and here's the thing. I differentiate the remaster from the non-remaster because for many Megadeth albums in particular, and metal albums in general, when you get a remaster, it's actually like way worse. Like the soul, so-called, has been sucked out of it. Basically, it doesn't just feel as fun to listen to on a real, tangible level. And you get that with Brave New World by Iron Maiden, where the original album's amazing, and it has this sense of like gorgeous, like ocean feeling about it. It really feels like sort of an Ocean Tides kind of album. And then the newer album just feels like it's coated under a bunch of like thick, cold plastic or something. And that's what remasters often feel like. It's super bad with Rust in Peace, and I listened to Rust in Peace for, I think, more than 2 years. I listened to Rust in Peace on and off, whole album, for more than 2 years. And I don't think I enjoyed the album essentially once. I liked the first 2 songs, and I think they still sound good, despite the remaster, but maybe I just hadn't gotten into the other songs, and with the remaster, it was coated under so much bullshit that it didn't sound good. I remember specifically listening to the album in my room, and then like my aunt was like downstairs or something underneath me, and like she had heard me listening to the album. But I remember listening to like the song Dawn Patrol or something. There's like a very short song where it sounds like some kind of like guitar keys you'd hear in like a porn movie sometime, or actually I think as a kid, like, you know, exploring, whatever. I won't get too much into it, but as a kid, like I don't know. I think it might literally be a guitar tone that's been used in like some kind of, you know, LimeWire, like, you know, downloaded porn movie at some point. Like, because I don't know. I think I might have seen it used in such a context before. But then again, I'm not saying watching porn is good. I'm certainly not. What I am saying though is that, hold on. I was listening to that, and I was sitting there just sort of like, you know, not feeling particularly great, and it was just like, it sounded so unpleasant. Like that little, it sounded so unpleasant in particular. And then like Five Magics, which is an amazing song. Tornado of Souls, which is an amazing song. Every song on the album is basically an amazing song in a ton of ways, and they're the most amazing musicianship you've ever seen, ever. But I was sitting there and I was like, this, you know, I'm just not enjoying this. Is it the remaster? Because I had heard about the remasters, I had blah, blah, blah about the remasters, but as with video games released where it's a remake and suddenly they don't sell a certain older version on a store, or they haven't ported it to a new console, but you have a remaster available or a remake, you might get that one, and then that becomes the version that's more easily available to people, and that becomes the version, perhaps a worse version, that people end up playing maybe. And so that becomes the version of the Megadeth album that you're going to hear, because if you go to a record store, you're probably going to see the remasters, unless it's like a used copy or something. But if you go on iTunes, you can get the remastered version or the original version. And so Euthanasia, Rust in Peace, I've gotten the original after buying the remaster. And like, so those are albums I bought twice. And you know what? It's been totally worth it to get the original. It's like listening to a different album, particularly Rust in Peace. Euthanasia in particular, the remaster is kind of a cool artifact, because that was apparently the speed Dave wanted it at, but they quote unquote made them slow it down, or even maybe slowed down the tracks or something. I don't even know in the original version. I still maybe prefer the original for Euthanasia, but oh boy, is Rust in Peace. It's like you had been reading the wrong books your whole life, and then you read a right book, and suddenly the sun breaks through all the clouds.